Right, we're going. Hello and welcome to ABW Live. How are we all? Hope we're all well. Yeah, one of those days, guys. Not much we can say at the moment, but let's get into it. Oh, I hate my computer. Do you know what? If I see one more pop up, somebody's going to get nailed. They really are. I'm not happy at the moment. Let's get straight into the chat box. Sorry, guys, we're a bit out of thing today. A bit out of kilter. Christian Andresen is first in the chat box. Then and 235100. Marley Moe was in then. Daniel Smith, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious was there. Michael Harneman smashes in with a donation, and he says, good away point. Would have taken that before the game, although the referee and VAR got that wrong with it's a yellow card. Alba pulls out of that, he injures himself. Ooh, I thought it was a red, Michael. I've got to be honest, I thought it was a straight red, but also thought Tompkins was later, but we'll get into that. Daniel Smith, who else is there? Carlito Alduna, DTK LBC. Hello, how are we all? It's Saturday, it's Palace away, and I am joined by, he's the one and only, he's the dirty pirate. It's Chris Carpenter. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris. You set them up. I'll keep knocking them out in the park.
I just like it that you do that. Thank you very much.
Afternoon, everybody.
Yeah, you okay, pal?
Yeah. I'm still old. I will be 37 in 14 days, Jace. Christ, I feel like I'm 57 at times, but yeah, I'm all right.
Not saying a word. Alongside us, we have today, it's the one and only Femster. Good to have you back, Femster. Say hello.
How you doing, guys? This is actually my first radio show, believe it or not. I've done the other shows before, but never the radio show.
Ooh, we're popping cherry today, pal.
What a game to do it, hey?
Don't get me started. I gotta be honest with you. I'm an angry Welshman at the moment, and
that's not like you, Chase.
To be honest with you, pal, I've had a genuine.
It's the only reason people tune in anymore, isn't it? I'm joking, of course.
I don't know. If you tune in and see me rant, then you've got problems. Hey, Fem, good to have you on, pal. Good to have you back.
Good to be on.
Top man. Right, couple of shout-outs today. First of all, to all the guys who did walk and talk today. Paul Price, Jake Coe, all the guys. Congratulations, you're fantastic. We put out a couple of tweets for it. We haven't highlighted as much as we have done in the past, unfortunately. There have been other things going on in ABW land. We apologise for that, because it is something we want to support wholeheartedly. But with recent events, look, we're all a bit tender, so our apologies. But well done, guys. Fantastic to watch you do it. The way you keep on doing it and you keep on raising awareness in conjunction with Samaritans. Congratulations. Our next segment is Happy Birthday, Dave Faber. It's the Goonerholic's birthday today, and it's it makes today all the more. What's the word? It's not special. It's all the more
poignant.
Thank you. Poignant is the word. I thank you for that, Chris. All the more poignant because Dave would have been so excited at what's happening at the club at the moment. He's just, he would have really enjoyed today. He loved doing Fulham away and Palace away and things like that. So, it's one of us. We on behalf of all the guys, we miss you. We love you. We're just heartbroken. Yeah. Okay, so on with the game. Chris, coming to you first. Lineups. We saw our first unchanged Premier League lineup for, I think, since the beginning of the season. What were your thoughts, mate?
Good, really. Yeah. I mean, it's weird how things change over time. I remember back in the old days, probably when I was just a bit younger, like the lineups was the big thing. You know, you'd be scouring what would be teletext in those days, and then later Twitter, and who's the lineup, and now I'm kind of more of one of those because I don't really watch any of the build-up now, because most of the time, not always, but most of the time, the studio's full of absolute cretins. So I tend to avoid watching the build-up, and I just sort of tune in pretty much as the kickoff happens, and then have a look at the lineups. But yeah, I get them sent to me on an app, and I was quite pleased to see that front four. It looks like, well, not for 3 games now, but it looks like that's what's going to be the front four moving forwards. I think we'll see a bit of rotation, with Martinelli or Nelson coming in for Alba in the next few weeks. But I think it's good. I'm also quite pleased that Lacazette kept his place, because I do genuinely believe he needs to just play through this bit of poor patch of form. I think Pepe is week by week looking a different player. Yeah, sure, there's still a long way to go before he's fully up to speed, but he's definitely looking more like the player we hoped for. Mesut's an odd one. I see the reaction that people get, and that there's quite a lot of people saying he's back to his best. I'm not quite sure I'm seeing that, if I'm completely honest. I'm not saying he's playing badly, but I just sort of, it's been so long since we've seen the Ozil of Real Madrid, the Ozil of the game with Napoli, etc. I'm not sure whether we'll ever see that Ozil again. So maybe it's me looking for something that's not actually going to happen again. As I say, that's not to have a go at him. I didn't think he was bad today, but I think the older he's getting, he's becoming what I'd call a quiet influencing player, rather than a guy who grips the game by the balls, as he probably did in his younger years. So that's only to be expected. But yeah, overall, definitely good with the lineup, and as I said, I think that's pretty much what we're going to be seeing now until Hector Bellerin's fit. I think that's probably the lineup you're going to see moving forward.
Yeah, I think there may be a couple of people challenging it, and as you say, when people come back to fitness, we may see changes, but it's going to be the main part of the team, isn't it? Femi, we started off like a bull at a gate, didn't we? We really took the game to Palace.
Yeah, it was a really good start. Controlled the game better than I've seen us control it in a long time. There was we just sort of pressed them right into their sort of 30-yard area, and almost every player, which is a really good start. Only problem is we didn't really create a lot, which I thought would, as the game went on, we might create more if there was more spaces, because they would have had to come out. But unfortunately, they didn't come out as much as probably we would have liked them to. It was a good start. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the beginning of the game. But as you say, there was a lot of possession. They defended deep, and we were unable to create good quality chances. Kris, we struggled to create good chances right up until the point on the 12th minute. I think it was like 19 passes involved in this passage of play, but it hits Luiz with a brilliant, incisive ball to Mesut. Mesut coming on the horizontal, as he likes to do, to Lacazette. And Lacazette with a fantastically timed ball. The way he puts the hold on it, then the through ball through to Aubameyang, and a quality finish, and we're 1-0 up. It was magical to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the football we've attracted fans from other clubs over the years for. That's the type of football that our own fans have seen us have this identity of having over the years. It was sort of Arsene football. It was sort of, you can imagine Mikel being the man who picked up the ball in midfield to set that move going. So yeah, very much so. Some would also say a Guardiola goal, so I can understand that side of things as well. But yeah, very, very good. The link up between Lacazette and Aubameyang is always good, and that's another reason why people saying, Lacazette's not in form, we should drop him. And sometimes you've got to play the players that suit each other, as well as even if they're not in form, you pick one to complement the other. But yeah, excellent play. I think David Luiz, I'd have him off free kicks. More on that maybe later. But other than that, he's stepping up. There's no doubt there's a footballer there with David Luiz. it's mainly how he defends that it can be a little bit scary. But yeah, again, I thought he had some particularly good moments today. I don't think there was a lot you could do about the goal. Personally, we'll come on to that. But yeah, our goal in particular, very good finish from Aubameyang, good movement off the ball as well, which I might touch on if we get time a little bit later on. But yeah, quality finish, quality movement, good build up, incisive, and passing with a point, which is something we've not had for a while. You know, it's not the constant sideways and backwards without a reason. There's nothing wrong with going sideways. There's nothing wrong with going backwards, but only if you've got a point to moving it forwards at the end of it, which we haven't had for a while, and that was in evidence against United and again today.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right, listeners, what's basically happened today? John was supposed to be doing the show with Femi and Kris, and he's had to drop out. He's had a power issue at home, so he's been unable to do it. So I'm doing this without any notes, okay? So my apologies. I'm not prepared for this at all. So we're gonna talk about the game. We're really gonna have a chat about what Kris is saying there about the change in the team recently. Carpenter, you behave yourself, okay?
Sorry.
You behave yourself. Femi, your view on the goal, okay? Because I'm gonna grab a quick glass of water quickly.
Yeah. I like everything you said, Kris. I think another thing that really impressed me, was playing the ball through the middle. It was a nice change to see us actually, playing the ball, pinging it right to players, and actually a through ball that goes right through. I don't remember the last time we scored with a through ball through the middle. A lot of our play seems to come from playing it wide, especially on the Emery, didn't it? Playing it wide and fullbacks or wingbacks cutting the ball back in. But it's good to see the ball being played right through the middle. I think that's something that seems to have changed as well. And I think with confidence, that's something that you need confidence for, to be honest, to be able to fire the ball at players, for them to receive it with confidence, to turn and then have more space that way, rather than always playing it wide. It's a nice little way to mix up our play as well.
Yeah, because the one thing you get when you're not feeling confident is you don't, as a footballer, you don't necessarily, it sounds silly, but you don't want the ball if you're not confident. Yeah. You don't want to receive the ball, and if it's all going down the wings and building up down the sides, then you as a forward know that basically all you need to do is get on the end of it. You don't have to be part of the situation where you could end up losing the ball or giving the ball away. So yeah, I think that definitely shows that the confidence is coming back. Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. The one thing we see from there on, continue to dominate the game, Kris, okay? But again, we're not creating many chances, okay? We're struggling to create clear-cut chances. A lot of that is down to some very, very good defending from Palace, to be fair to them. But our inability to create clear-cut chances, was that beginning to worry you at this point?
Yeah, I think somebody we know well, part of our entourage, although I'm not sure I can mention his name, because if I do, I think we have to pay royalties. He's that high up these days. But a certain journalist who works for our parish said it right in our group when he said we need to take advantage of this situation. We need to kill them off, because Palace won't be as bad in the second half as they were in the first. I think he was right, the Fanny. But yeah, he hit the nail on the head there, because we were on top, we were controlling the game, but we didn't particularly carve out too many good chances. I think, like Femi was saying, he was absolutely right. We were playing through the middle. We were creating through balls and the opportunities to create chances, but there wasn't sort of that killer touch on the end of it. And I'd almost liked us to have sort of slightly mixed it up a little bit, maybe gone long a couple of times, towards the back end of the first half, because they were sitting sort of quite deep initially. Towards the end of the first half, Hodgson seemed to get them a bit higher to try and pressure us and try and push us up the field. And I thought that gave us some space in behind. I think if we'd have gone in at half time at 2-0, I think the game would have been done, because I didn't really think they offered a lot, but they clearly got a rocket at half time. And like you say, lack of chance creation in the first half in the end, other than the goal, and a few, close efforts, but nothing. You couldn't have sat there and said we had 20 odd shots on, got 10 shots on goal even, we had 2 or 3 and that was it. So yeah, it was a worry. And ultimately that worry was sort of came to pass. I do wonder how the game would have gone without the sending off those. I still thought we were in control, but yeah, unfortunately missed chances does cost you games.
Funny enough, when I looked at the stats, we actually only had one shot in the whole half, believe it or not, which is quite interesting but there was I think Pepe had a chance anyway. He sat Gary Cahill down.
Yeah.
And then the other defender sort of covered. So, we had opportunities, like Kris said, but we just didn't create much, which is a bit frustrating, to be honest.
Yeah.
We're not quite getting it right at the moment with the front four. They're starting to look better. We're starting to be, they're starting to find their rhythm, but it's creating those chances and creating space. And I think that's something, obviously, when you see Collar overlapping or you see AMN making that extra man in midfield, that's something he's working on. But I thought they pinned Maitland-Niles back quite well. Today, I thought they were a bit afraid of Zaha's pace. And I like Torreira and Xhaka in the middle. I've got to be honest, I think they give us a bit of solidity in there. But we need to get more of Ozil. Whilst I thought he played an important part in the goal, I didn't think he was effective other than that. And it's not to be hard on him, but it's just a fact of how we play today. We're not creating those chances. We're not getting runners beyond the ball, and it's something we need to concentrate on. Femi, we saw then towards the end of that first half, we saw Palace start to gain the upper hand. They dragged us into their game. They overloaded the midfield. And we kind of started paying a price, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it started with the tactical fouls, didn't it, from Jordan Ayew, is it?
Yeah.
So that's where they started pushing us back a bit, because he started sort of rattling our midfielders, and then what happened then was our passing just sort of slowed down. So we were still, giving accurate passes, but everything seemed to be slowing down, and we were getting a bit complacent. And then, like you said, they kind of dragged us into their game. So then our goal kicks were a lot slower. We're being put a bit more under pressure. I mean, in the first half an hour, they couldn't even press us anywhere on the pitch. For some reason, we kind of let them start pressing us again. And that's sort of we're still not as press resistant as we should be, as we saw against Leeds on Monday in the first half. So as soon as a team starts to press us, we need to find ways out of it. But I think what was important in that period actually was Torreira in that period, because I thought he came into his own in that period where Palace were trying to gain a head of steam. Torreira was breaking things up. He was always there to pick up the ball, clear the ball, and things like that. But it was getting worrying going into half time, and you kind of knew that coming out of half time we had to fix a few things, really. Even though we had been dominant, we kind of looked like we needed to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree there. I think you look at it, plenty of possession, but very, as we've alluded to, little to no chances other than the goal to show for that, and that's a real worry. Kris, we then see an incident which is, to me, was one of the pivotal part of the games, where we saw Zaha. There's an incident in the box where Zaha pushes Pepe. It's not malicious. It's just something everybody does in the box. But Pepe then collides with Torreira, and it's a really nasty fall. And yet, it is clearly a foul from Zaha. It's clearly a yellow card, in my opinion. Nothing happens with that. And because of the way, Torreira lands, it ends up in him going off. What were your thoughts on that, mate?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah, go on.
I was making a cup of coffee.
Oh, you son.
Sorry. So rather than me,
I can go for that one if you want.
Rather than me being the fraud, I'll pass it on to Femi.
Yeah, you know what the funniest thing about this? The referee didn't even give a free kick for it. He let the game play on. If Torreira didn't kick Pepe in the head, he probably wouldn't have stopped the game, to be honest with you. That's what happened. But that little touch from Zaha, then Zaha was sort of complaining, and then you heard all the Palace fans with their same old Arsenal always cheating, even though Zaha caused two players to sort of collide into each other. Yeah. The worst part of that is Pepe was lucky that he didn't get a concussion or get a cut on the head, because as soon as Zaha touched Torreira, he was off balance. His boot went in the air and caught Pepe just right near his head. And obviously that I didn't know that's why he got injured. I was wondering why he came off actually. But yeah, you're right. He did land really awkwardly. And yeah, he didn't come out for the second half after that. Yeah, you're right. That's probably where he got injured. I was wondering where.
Yeah, I was really annoyed by that because, as I say, I don't think it's malicious. I've got to be honest. There's nothing malicious about the push. It's more, it's a petulant thing you see in the box from defenders and attackers. But then you see Pepe pick up a yellow card. Did you see the Pepe yellow card incident, Kris?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
And I mean, it was bizarre. You know, he's rocking over. The guy's got hold of his legs after the challenge. It's all a load of nonsense for nothing. And then he picks up a yellow card, and you've had Ayew consistently fouling all game, not picking up anything, not even being given fouls against him. No. I thought at that point, here we go.
The problem I get with, or the problem I find with the new sort of laws, is that the right word? Or the new regime, you know, the VAR inspired, which I know we'll come on to. The problem is now is that you can't do anything. And it's a very weird dichotomy. That's a big word for a Saturday afternoon. I'm not even sure if it's the right word, but we'll go with it. It's you've got a lot of fans now. You've got a fine split. You've got the old school sort of like ourselves, sort of 30s. I think I'm right in saying upwards, who have grown up in an era where it was all about hustle and bluster, and putting a challenge in, letting someone know you're there. Leaving a bit on as what I used to say, put a guy in the hedge. In Sunday League football, like you'd win a challenge, but you'd make sure you put the guy into the hedge whilst winning the challenge. You can't do that anymore, and that used to be just for tackling. With VAR, it's now like they're scrutinising everything. We had the incident with Lacazette on, was it Martial in the United game, where they were all banging on he should have been sent off for kicking out, blah blah blah. It's a competitive sport. It's a sport where people clash and tempers fray just for a brief period of time. If you're on the street and someone bumps into you, you don't just casually just walk past and ignore it. You swing around, you go, what are you doing? Like, it's natural. Same as if you're in a pub and someone, says something you don't like. Your natural reaction, even if you're a placid person, you don't just walk away and get on with it. You do have a little bit of a confrontation, whether that be verbally or some cases physically. And I think we're creeping into a world where every single thing on the football pitch is deemed a foul, or deemed a yellow card, or deemed aggressive behaviour. And it's like, these are grown adults. There was a couple of tackles in the second half. I think Xhaka caught Zaha, picked him up, no issue. Which is rare for Wilfried Zaha to not make an issue with the slightest bit of contact. But another one with Lacazette and Jordan Ayew. I think they had shared a little private joke when Lacazette was making those fouls to see us out towards the end of the game. That's what football's all about. So I do feel that some of the referees, this one in particular, is not the best. He's very hairy as well, which is a bit disconcerting. That I just feel that they're looking for things to pick up on. And it's almost like the VAR thing is the new toy, but it's almost like they've got insurance now. So, if they want to pick up on something and book something, they will. And if VAR says, that's the wrong decision, we can upgrade it. So it's almost like they've got a free pass. They can book whoever they want. They can pull up whoever they want. And if they do get it wrong, they've got that thing in the back of their mind, knowing, well, even if I do maybe not make the right decision, VAR will back me up. So, I didn't think it was a booking. It was, as you say, it was a silly coming together. It's coming together of two fine gentlemen, nothing more, nothing less. It didn't need a booking, and those sort of bookings will cost you if he misses a game towards the end of the season.
And that's the issue I have with it. It's a case of it was all a little bit, you didn't even. Yeah, you saw a little bit of handbags, but it was much ado about nothing. And for him to pull out,
sorry to interrupt. If the players can deal with it, you're from a rugby background, Jace. I'm not saying you should just put them into a corner and have a ruck for 10 minutes and then let them sort out themselves. But if there's no issue between the players, i.e. there's no flare up and there aren't 4 or 5 different players piling in, why do you need to take action? That's, it's been dealt with. The referee is not necessarily there to manage the game. The referee is there to manage probably is to manage the game, but you know what I mean? He's not there to manage the individual personalities. He's just there to manage the flow of the game and make sure the fouls are called. If the players are managing it themselves and the players are okay just to get on with it, and there's no, a brief flare-up, but there's nothing else, just get on with the game,
I agree. I mean, I thought, I think obviously you need to have the game officiated properly, but that was petulance in my opinion. Ryan Costa just smashed in the donation and he said, "Is it time to step away from Guendouzi? Seems to me he runs wildly on the pitch. Ceballos, more of a disciplined option." We're going to talk about that in a bit. So Ryan, we'll have a look at that in the questions sections if you don't mind, mate, because I want to talk about a few players. We have to look at performance, obviously, okay? And I think we have to be honest about, all of us have to be honest about the way we see performance. But I think at times, we all go over the top a little bit as well. So we'll have a look at that. Femi, the second half kicks off, and we kind of don't really recover from that end of the first half, do we? We're still under the cosh a bit. I don't think we're particularly... what's the word? We're in a poor position, but we're not setting the agenda. We're not setting the tempo at all. We've allowed Palace to wrestle that away from us, haven't we?
Yes, like I said, the passing had slowed down at the end of the first half, but what had happened at the beginning of the second half was the passing just totally disintegrated. So we were just not getting the ball out of our danger areas enough. So the ball just kept coming back, even though it's quite weird. It's like the similar thing with like against Chelsea, which is Palace didn't actually create a lot or anything. We didn't let a lot. I don't really know how the XG thing works, but I would bet that their XG is just really low today. We don't give away a lot of chances, which is a massive difference on the previous regime. But what was happening was we were causing ourselves stress in defensive areas. And one thing about this team is if you do stress them out defensively, they're going to crack at some point or another, which is pretty similar to against Chelsea. If you just keep pressuring us, we'll give away a silly chance, at least one a game. So even though we were being pushed back, we still had the game sort of under control, to be honest. It wasn't sort of like a Watford situation where they were just battering our goals with chance after chance, or we're being overrun. We had good positioning. Just that if you don't have an attacking threat, the other team will just grow in confidence because they'll just think, well, they're not doing anything going the other way, which I don't know what happened to our attack today. We're just totally just mystifying, to be honest, and that sort of gave Palace a lot more confidence to keep coming forward.
I got to be honest, I think there's a lack of options for Mikel Arteta. I think if you look at our bench today, where's the lineups? Sorry, my apologies, guys. Balls with lineups. Do you know what? Okay, I am ready to blow today. I'm ready to blow.
I can give you the lineup.
So I've got it here. So on our bench, we've got Holding, Nelson, Martinez, Willock, Guendouzi, Martinelli, and Xhaka. Now, there's no Ceballos there to bring on. There's no senior midfielder there to bring on. You're looking at Guendouzi or Willock. And I forgot to mention Guendouzi replacing Torreira at half-time. And to be fair, I think that's the only decision he can make. I've given Guendouzi a lot of stick this season. He's going to get a bit of stick today, but I don't think his performance when he came on was that bad. I think you've got we're looking at a player now who needs to be coached and who needs to be brought along into the style of football that Arteta wants to play. Kris, we've taken our foot off the gas. They've wrestled control off us. And now we've lost that little bit of experience in the midfield. Femster's just dropped out. There's obviously an issue with his internet. He'll be back now. What were your thoughts at this point? Because as Femi said, they weren't really causing us much of a worry because they've got a big injury crisis themselves. But we were hardly, we weren't setting the agenda. We weren't able to wrestle control of them, were we?
No, not really. It was a weird one because I felt like they don't get me wrong, they improved second half. No doubt about that. But I didn't feel like they were particularly controlling the game at any point. It felt to me like we just sort of stepped back a bit, and it was almost like, well, we've got the lead, come at us, which is always a dangerous thing to do. And we looked. I wouldn't say we didn't react because I did feel like we reacted, but I just felt we reacted probably slightly the wrong way in that we went a little bit too deep, just invited them on. But like you said, it wasn't like they had their strongest lineup out. It wasn't like Zaha was shredding us to bits. That's their main threat. Ayew was fairly quiet. His movement was pretty good in fairness to him, but it wasn't like we were playing badly, but we just seemed to lose a little bit of momentum. Palace picked that up. They took advantage of that, and you could clearly see after half-time they'd come out with having had a rocket from Roy, which is an amusing thought. But yeah, they play, credit to Palace. They played better second half, but as we said earlier, our opportunity really came in that first half to put that game out of sight. And had we done, I don't think we would have been talking about how good Palace were second half because I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I the funny thing is, I'm just gonna stop the flow of this a little bit here. Roy Hodgson, God, I love Roy Hodgson. I just think he's a decent guy. Do you know what I mean? I think Roy Hodgson's a decent footballing man, and he just makes me laugh. We got bloody Kris dropping out now. Fem, let's get on to it. So we then see Maitland-Niles booked, okay, which I thought was a bit soft. Then the Ayew goal. Kolasinac doesn't follow Ayew. There's a bit of ping pong. Ball comes back out to Ayew, who hasn't been covered by Kola. Kola's got to follow his man there, and then we get the deflection off Luiz.
Luiz,
yeah, and you got Maitland-Niles, who's not following it in from the back post. We were slightly unlucky, but my God, we didn't do ourselves any favours, did we?
No, I think everything seemed to go in slow motion, didn't it? It was so slow. It was just like you could see it coming, couldn't you?
Yeah.
But it seemed our players were just totally switched off to any danger. We had a lot of players in the box, a lot of players in and around the ball, but we had no one attacking the ball. We had everyone just sort of seemed to slow down, the ball slowed down. And as soon as they got the first ball into our area, we were just, at sixes and sevens, basically. We didn't know who was where, who was picking up what, like you said, Maitland-Niles was positioned wrongly. And then David Luiz was just, turning your back on the ball, is something that this team seems to do quite a lot. And when you're facing a shot that's not that hard, I don't know if you should be turning. It seems very, silly thing to say, but I don't know if you should be turning your back from the ball. I look at I don't like to say old school defenders, but I look at some, a Vincent Kompany or a Tony Adams or a John Terry. Would they be turning their back on the ball in that situation? Those are the little things that get you from being, an average team to winners. You have to have sort of a desire to block the shot, to throw yourself at the ball. But turning your back on the ball, anything can happen, as we saw. Once you turn your back on the ball, anything can happen. The ball deflected off David Luiz twice to go over Bernd Leno. Some would say unlucky, but I think it was poor defending, personally, to be honest.
Turning your back on the ball.
You're on mute.
Oh, can you hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
I thought I was on mute. Yeah, turning your back on the ball is the cardinal sin, isn't it? Like you've got to stand tall, stand big. Otherwise, like Femi said, if you turn your back on the ball, you have no vision of play. You can't see where anything's going. And I'm not saying our players are wimps or anything like that. I mean, if you lined up 100 blokes in the street and said, right, I'm going to kick a ball at 40 miles an hour into your face, are you going to turn your back or not? I think 99 would say, we'll probably turn me back. But when you're sort of professional football, sometimes you just got to take that. And it's one of those, isn't it? My sort of argument to those ones that flick off players that go into the net are always about how did the ball get to that place in the first place? How did the build-up get to the point where they were able to get a shot in on goal from within the 18-yard box? That's my bigger concern rather than who could have blocked it.
And this is the thing, I think there's a natural reaction at times as well, and we all do it, You like to stand up big and tall, but now and again, somebody takes a shot, and you will move to sort of try to protect yourself. It's a natural reaction. You've got to do a hell of a lot to overcome that. But the one thing for me was, Kolasinac has got to follow Ayew. He has to follow him, and we weren't playing men on the posts. We weren't playing that, but I thought AMN slightly switches off, and I'm not having a pop at AMN to thought Maitland-Niles. I think he's been superb. I think he's a most improved player in recent weeks, and I absolutely love him for that. I think AMN's got a big future. I still think he could go and play midfield for us. Still think he has that potential, and I think under Arteta that could have come on further. Okay, let's go. Kris, I'm coming to you first. Then I want you to pass straight back to Femi on this. The sending off. We're 67 minutes into the game. We've seen 2 of our players booked, not a single Palace player booked, and we get then what is he's out of control. It's a poor challenge. He's got no control of himself. He's late. I don't think it's malicious in any way. But for me, Aubameyang, it's a red card all day. Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. It's one of those that if it was a challenge committed against one of our players, we'd be up in arms. That speaks volumes. It was a challenge out of frustration. I don't particularly blame Aubameyang for making the challenge. I know some people have sort of gone after him a bit and said, it's a stupid tackle to make. He was never going to get to the ball. Why did he think he wouldn't? But it's a classic area where you can afford to make that tackle. It's in an area of the pitch where if you don't get the ball, it's usually just 9 times out of 10 it's a foul, and the game restarts. You break up play. Where he went wrong was his studs are up. If he makes the tackle with his studs facing downwards, or to make a block challenge, he probably gets away with it. A little shout out to that fraud they have on BT Sport. I can't remember his name. The referee who's in the studio. I can't remember his name. Is it Peter? What is it? Peter Bolton? Anyway. The guy's an absolute fraud. Like, he literally changes his mind on the strength of 3 seconds of somebody in his ear going, "It's a red." He comes on the thing and he's like, "Well, no, that's a booking for me. Definite booking. Definite. Yeah, 100% a booking. Yeah, but for sure it's a red. 100%. Yeah, definite red. Definitely made the right decision there." Guy's an absolute douchebag. But it's just a silly challenge. It happens. It's just a shame because we're going to lose them for 3 games now. It's deemed as violent conduct or, endangering an opponent. And I will come on to others who did the same thing and got nothing today. Yeah. But it is a red, Jace. I mean, whatever way, whoever you support, it's a red,
I got to be honest, I have no problem with that, okay, whatsoever. I got no problem with the red card. What I do have a problem with them, and I really do have an effing problem with this, is that you see Tompkins off his feet, out of control a bit later. A yellow.
Yeah, and if our player didn't jump out of the way, there would have been similar contact. And what I've seen recently is that referees are told, give a free kick for intent as well. Yeah. So is it not the same thing for red card for intent? If you're intending to commit a serious foul and the player has to literally jump out of the way, to get to stop himself from being injured, probably, then what's the difference, really? But there was a lot of inconsistencies today with the referee, as far as I'm concerned. I know there was a few comments in the chat box. I took one earlier from Junior Gunner that says, "Why are we complaining about refs? Let's play victim. We didn't do enough to get the 3 points." I don't think it's about complaining about refs, but we do have to point out sometimes that there's some inconsistencies even within a game that you're watching a game. You're thinking, okay, well, this doesn't make sense to me, and you have to pull that out. To be honest, you can't just say, oh well, it doesn't matter,
This is the bit that gets me, guys. Okay, I love Junior Gunner. He's a regular in the box, and I love his views, whether I agree or disagree with him. He's a good guy, okay. And I hear what he's saying, okay. But what worries me about this, and where I see this going once again, and we've been here before, okay. Mike Riley in our 50th game set the tone, which allowed people to kick us, right on. That resulted in the ending of Eduardo's career, the ending of Abu Dhabi's career, the craziness which has happened in Aaron Ramsey's career. You look at how often that kid's injured because of what happened from fucking awful tackling. Okay, I'm going to say it here, I'm going to say it now, and dear Premier League, dear PGMOL, take me to fucking court. You're cheating cunts. You're dirty, cheating bastards. Every single time we see... yes, we get away with decisions. We obviously do. Okay, you look at last season. You had handballs from Rob Holding. You had 2 clear handballs that weren't given as penalties. But these are not. These decisions now are decisions where people are off their feet. They're going to injure our players. You look at Torreira having to go off. Okay, then you look at Tompkins going in, feet up. There you go, Carlito going there. The scissors tackle on Pepe. Not even a fucking yellow. Pepe's been absolutely targeted. Targeted again. When's the next guy? When our next player gets his leg broken, right? The fucking the PGMOL, the club should take the Premier League and PGMOL to court. Because they're allowing this to happen, and it's an absolute fucking joke. I've got no problem with the referee making a mistake. I've got no problem with the fact that somebody misses something. But these are now, dangerous challenges which are going unpunished. I'm fucking sick of it, because when you see Eduardo, what a player. What a player he was. And he had his career ruined. Abu Dhabi could have been special. He could have been.
He was, but wasn't given. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, imagine what a player Ramsey would have been without that leg break.
The issue I have, Jace, with this is that there's always been this argument that goes round that he's not that type of player.
Fucking bollocks.
And also this argument of no player goes out to intentionally injure someone. And I'm not. I genuinely don't think many do. You're right, some do, but I genuinely think that there's a very you don't have to intentionally go out to injure somebody to be booked or sent off. You don't have to. Somebody's leg doesn't have to be in 4 pieces for it to be a red card challenge. And what's frustrating is you watch that game and you see Aubameyang sent off, rightly so, for a challenge which could have endangered an opponent. Well, it did endanger an opponent. Max Meyer was forced off with injury. So when you see that. What is when the shoe is on the other foot? That's the bit that I think people are struggling to understand. And the VAR thing, I think John said it on this platform a few times. VAR is not the problem. Sure, I wouldn't have it personally. I do think it kills a lot of the enjoyment of the game. But if you're going to have it, you have to use it the right way. And this argument of it, so it's the first year it's been in the Premier League, bullshit. As you know, Jace, I watch a lot of French football. It doesn't happen in other leagues. It doesn't happen in the Bundesliga where they've had it 2 or 3 years. MLS, a league which is widely disregarded by everybody, and the quality is not what the Premier League is, obviously, but it works fine over there. And do you know why it works fine over there? Because they implement it in the correct way, and they refute every decision that needs to be reviewed, regardless of what the circumstance is.
Did you see the Aussie? There've been clips of the Aussies doing it.
Yeah, that's another league, the A League. Yeah,
it's superb. Let's get something straight. Mike Riley's in charge of PGMOL. Mike Riley's a cheat.
There's another fraud,
Cheat. He's a liar and he's a bastard. Okay? And you fucking take me to court. I don't give a fuck. Go on. Fucking prove me wrong, because I can fucking prove every word I say. Cheats, bastards, and they're going to get somebody injured, and that's what worries me. I don't give a shit about, you lose a goal here, you lose a goal there, but mark my words, we're heading to the part where somebody's going to get their leg broken unless something changes, and that scares me stupid. You don't want to see things go wrong. TTK so much irrational nostalgia in here. Live in the present. This is the thing. History repeats itself. Unless you put a stop to it, and I was really pleased to see our players surround the referee today. I was really pleased to see that. I want us to be more aggressive. I want us to get in people's faces because they need to be scared of us now. Because you imagine, somebody sort of breaking, Martinelli's leg. That's the next one. Do you know what I mean? Pepe will go down.
I don't want to be. Sorry, Fem, go on.
No, I think with that nostalgia thing, I think we just literally have to go a few games back to the West Ham game and their left back, Aaron Cresswell. Yeah. 2 ridiculous tackles on Pepe. The first tackle was so bad that it should have been clamped down on, and he stayed on the pitch, got injured, and to compensate for his injury, he absolutely clattered Pepe again. And that was just a few games, just a few games ago. So we are kind of living in the present. If you don't clamp down on something quite early on, you'll see the consequences later on in the game.
I don't want to be disrespectful to the commenter there. But with respect, you're slightly part of the problem, because the longer people agree or the longer people give excuses, the longer that the FA and the powers that be will go, well, plenty of fans are fine with it. We as supporters and as fans, it's not a question of moaning. This is not Arsenal fans moaning again. There are fans of every single team that do this. Palace had a banner today saying VAR is ruining football, which mysteriously disappeared for a period of time. I can't think why. But, jokes aside, they're right. Fans are speaking out about it, and there is a point where we as supporters, we are the ones paying for the subscriptions of 100 and God knows how much a year to watch it on TV, or we're the supporters who are paying thousands of pounds to follow a team around the country, or go to home games, whatever it may be, or even the fans who are getting up at 3 a.m. and maybe sacrificing their work because they're knackered because they've got up to watch Arsenal at 3 a.m. in Australia. Do you know what I mean? We're all watching this game. We're all contributing towards what this game or what the Premier League has become. So it's all very well saying, "Oh, you live in nostalgia," blah 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 blah. But if you accept the problem, you become part of the problem, and you have to have some sort of a voice bringing this up. And none of us are naive enough to think that we don't benefit from the odd call, because I'm sure, like you said, Chase, Arsenal have benefited from a few that you look at and go, "Phew." But if we were all, the word we're looking for is consistency. And if you send off Aubameyang, you send off Tompkins,
Exactly, and this is the problem, Michaela. So we're looking at this. If you're talking the game objectively, Pepe's the first yellow card in the game. Okay? Pepe's the first yellow card in the game for nothing. Palace didn't pick up a yellow card till McCarthy in the 71st minute. Right? So at that point, the game is not being officiated even-handedly, because Ayew has got 7 fouls to his name and doesn't get anything. This is unbelievable. Rudy Rastos, we'll have a look at that a bit later. Let's move on now. So that's our part on that. We won't go back to VAR at all. That's it. The game kind of peters out. We have a couple of chances, Femi. But to be honest with you, we didn't deserve to win that game. We didn't create clear-cut chances. We didn't do enough. And we allowed Palace to dictate play in the second half. How do you feel about the result, mate?
To be honest, we just have to take the result. We did have a really good chance, didn't we? Pepe hitting the post. And then Lacazette with the follow-up. He just... bit of colour, isn't he? Lacazette just seems... I mean, he's working hard for the team, but I think maybe in working so hard, we're sort of losing a bit of his finishing at the front end. So I think it will come. I think he needs one for confidence. Pepe moved. Yeah, Pepe moved to the left, which is something I've been kind of asking why. Kris might have an answer for this. Why he doesn't? Because he loves to cut in so much that sometimes I think, well, if you stick him on the left every now and then, he can just have a direct shot like he did today. Is that why does he play on the right so much? Why is he a right-sided player so much?
I think it's because they're trying to find a balance because Aubameyang is right-footed as well. And I think that the balance is that's what they're trying to find. They don't want to have. I mean, I would have them rotating. Even at grassroots level, it's good to have players who can play on both sides and just switch around because it gives a defender to think about. The biggest problem that you have with Pepe cutting in and doing what he did, and this is why I do roll my eyes when I read a lot of tweets, or certainly did when he was getting so much stick, is that Arsenal don't play the way Lille played and got the best out of him. Lille played in a counter-attacking sort of 4-1-3-2 almost, or a 4-2-3-1 depending on the system. But they would counter-attack. They would absorb the pressure, and then they would win quick counters, and then Pepe would be away, as you said, from the left, cutting in, or from the right and drilling across the goalkeeper. But a lot of his goals would come from fast breakaways. Teams in the Premier League don't necessarily allow you to do that. We're not really playing that way, especially with Arteta now. I think we're going to go more to a Guardiola-style possession game, and that's not going to get the best out of Pepe in terms of the player we bought him as. What we can create him, what we can craft him into, that's different. But yeah, I mean, I do think you need to be... like you say, mixing it up and giving him an opportunity to play on that left-hand side as well. We might see that now with the Aubameyang situation. And I think Martinelli is off with Brazil, isn't he, for a few weeks? I think.
Well, we've got a question coming up on that. We'll answer that a bit.
So you'll probably see Nelson on the right and Pepe on the left in that case, then I would imagine.
I mean, that's the game. I forgot to mention the Pepe shot. Very unlucky to hit the post. I did feel that Lacazette should have done better on the rebound, Kris. But... it's fired out pretty quickly, and we've seen easier chances than that in this, haven't we?
Yeah. It's all about anticipation, and Femi hit the nail on the head there. Lacazette is one of those strikers that he's a predator in the box. He's a penalty area striker. He's not sort of guy who's going to rat one in from 25 yards. He's not sort of player who's going to dribble round four and put it in. What he is a goal scorer, and at the moment he's not scoring goals. Therefore, we're not seeing the best of him. This idea that he's finished, this idea that we should sell him, and it's like I always love when people say that. Oh yeah, take the money, okay, and buy who?
Yeah.
It's all very well saying I want that shiny new toy. Well, that's fine if you've got the money for that shiny new toy. But if you sell your house and you don't have somewhere to move, you're homeless. So let's be sensible here. I would be more worried if Lacazette was hiding. I'd be more worried if he wasn't working hard. I was really impressed with his attitude when Aubameyang got sent off, because he did an absolute arse-breaking job up front for us after that. He was making foul after foul after foul, just breaking up the play, which is exactly what we needed him to do. He basically just needs a Norwich at home. Sorry, Norwich, but that he just needs that sort of team, and one to fly across the box, hit him in the face, and go in, and then things will get better. I'm not 100% convinced that he's not carrying a bit of a knock. I think a few of our players are, in truth. But this idea that he's finished and sell him, I'm not on board with that at all.
Let's dig deeper into this. That's the game, guys. It's disappointing, but I thought we showed resilience after going down to 10 to hang on in. But let's stay on Lacazette for a second. Femi, I'm going to come to you. I get very frustrated with certain players, and anybody who listens to this show will hear me get frustrated on a regular basis. But the one thing I look at Lacazette at the moment, the one thing I want from players when they are in poor form, is work rate. Keep working hard and it will come. Now, I'm seeing the work rate from him. No question. Over the moon with his work rate, okay? I like the fact he plays on the edge. So I think you've got to. Do you know what I mean? But I think at the moment he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. How can he relax to be able to how can Arteta get him to relax whilst giving him edge to sort of turn his hard work into goals? How do you think he can do that?
I think I read an article this week that this is one of his longest spells without a goal. And remembering that, Lacazette started the season with an ankle injury that he picked up in the cup. Sort of tried to play through the pain, then he couldn't. Took some time out, got recovered, and he just, in terms of overall fitness, it seems like he missed something in pre-season. Sort of some part of pre-season he seems to have missed because he seems to be building up fitness sort of on the go at the moment. And I think, just as Kris said, he needs a goal. He's a goal scorer. Lacazette, anytime I'd seen him before he came to Arsenal, he's just... I'm actually more impressed with his build-up play than what I saw before he came to Arsenal. His all-round game is coming together again, but he needs a goal. I think a goal will take a lot of the weight off his shoulder. And unfortunately for him, he's about to be under more pressure because we've now lost, our main scorer who scores, more than probably 50% of our goals. We've lost him for 3 sort of, especially 2 big games, 2 big league games against Sheffield United and against Chelsea away. So with that being said, that means we're probably going to have to play wide players out wide to help Lacazette. That means a lot of pressure is going to come on him, and I think he's got to get his head down and be careful, because I think the fans are going to be on his back because Aubameyang is missed, and they're going to expect more from him in terms of goal output.
He'll thrive on that responsibility. That's the thing I love about Lacazette. He's captain of Lyon for several years.
Yeah, but bear a second, Kris. I don't think we have now the player base. I don't think we have the personnel to get the best out of him. You watch Lacazette. You watch Lacazette last season, okay? And sorry, I'm bringing up my favourite player of all time, okay? But when you've got Sokratis, obviously, but when you've got a player who gets beyond the ball and who interacts and plays off him, he's great. Now, because you haven't got somebody on the vertical coming up the pitch as and Ramsey, you've now got there's an Ozil there who plays along the horizontal in between the lines, but he hasn't got anybody running off him. And a lot of Lacazette's goals last season, the man plays into him, he plays off, turns, gets into good positions. That's just not happening anymore, is it?
Do you know the one what's the word I'm looking for here? The one sort of, it's not a benefit having a Aubameyang banned, it's not. But the one thing I look at with that is it will give us an opportunity to look at what we do, because if you look at this season in particular, we have relied so heavily on Aubameyang's goals. And we can't get away from that fact. He has been our primary source of goals. It will be interesting to see if Arteta changes the system or just plays with it as it is, because I could see us changing the system. And I think with Laka, like you say, you can use him in a 4-2-3-1, but you have to have that number 10 right in behind him. In his last season at sort of Lyon, he had that working with those players. When he had the link up with Fekir, he had very similar, and what Fekir is essentially a younger, nippier, obviously not quite as good as Ozil, basically. That was his, and his benefit was that he was the intricate, quick, fast transition play. So he would receive the ball from sort of like a two-star in midfield, and then Fekir would do the legwork, driving through the midfield, and then, as you say, the slide rule ball, Lacazette on the end of it, which was why I was quite gutted we didn't go in to pick him up. I wonder if Ceballos could be that player, although with Arteta's comments after the game today, I'm not sure that's going to happen. But I do think, and this is why I do think we should be in the market for a quick transitioning player, or we need to be looking at adapting our system to maybe going almost sort of like 4-1-4-1 potentially, where you actually play with out and out wide men, Pepe and Nelson, right out in the width. You play the 2 midfielders, i.e. sort of Xhaka and Torreira, and you free up Mesut, and you say, right, you are free. You still need to do your work, but you basically are the link to the centre forward now. You sit in that pocket in front of the midfield, and you just do the creating ahead of it. So I do wonder if we will change the system to accommodate it. I have a worry that at the end of the season, which I know is a long way away, I do have a concern that one of these two will lose one of the two. That's my slight concern. And in a way, it might be better in the long run because then we've only got potentially one to pick from. But it will be interesting just to see what happens in the next few games without Aubameyang and without that ability to just rely on him for everything. And I think Lacazette scores in big games. That Chelsea game will be one he'll be licking his lips over. The cup game is not so much of an issue, and Sheffield United is at home. So you'd like to think, although they are organised and they proved that again last night, we should be organised enough and we should have enough to beat Sheffield United at home. You would like to think, touch as wood. But yeah, the Chelsea game's the big one. And let's see, and if Arteta is to his word, which I'm sure he is, if the system works and it doesn't accommodate Aubameyang into it, then so be it. But it's going to be interesting to see. We can only work with what we've got at the moment, and Alba is sort of in a roundabout way cost his own situation by that tackle.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, 95.
Unfortunately,
95 Winston's just put in the box. Some teams fans are calling him like a threat.
I mean, that's good, but it's still not quite as good as the empty crates, which I love people calling the stadium. That was good, but yeah.
Oh, I do love some of these Saki comments. They're lovely.
They'd still have him at their club, by the way.
Sorry, that's brilliant. Right, okay, look, people. There's 137 you're watching now. Pete Coulson wants me to be angry. Just tap the friggin' like button for crying out loud, okay? Don't be all Aubameyang in the tackle. Be Aubameyang in the box, okay? Stop fucking about. Start tapping that like button, please, because I stand with a hoil for this today. I'm so sorry, chat box. I just can't get it going, but you know what to do. Tap away. Get 50 and I'm happy today. I've got no hoil. I do apologise. Before we go to questions, Femi, you saw Guendouzi come on in the second half. And I thought he's been better than he has been in recent weeks. I thought it was an improved performance from him, but you could see the disparity in effectiveness from having him to Torreira. I like Guendouzi. He's annoyed the hell out of me recently, especially the Chelsea game. But do you think Arteta can now mould Matteo into a player to help take the club forward?
Yeah, I was going to say he's a player that has frustrated me recently, but I thought today and second half against Leeds, I thought he was much improved. I know a lot of people are not, as soon as Torreira went off, the narrative was already written, isn't it? We're going to concede and it's going to be... But I didn't think he did a lot wrong today. I thought he was composed in possession. He drove out, especially when we went to 10 men, kept hold of the ball, was driving out with the ball. We can't compare him to Torreira because they're different players, to be honest with you. It's not his fault that he's not, tiger, dogged midfielder. That's not his style of game. I think what he has to do and what the coaches at the club now have to do is work with him to find out what type of player is he. He has to nail down the type of player that he's going to be at some point. Is he a holding? Is he is he an attacking? Is he a box to box? That's something that they just, and he's a young player. This is a big step up for him. So I think sometimes we just have to be patient, with some players. If he was playing for another team, I don't think we would be as critical of him. It's just that he plays for our team, so we watch him, with a more eagle eye at every single thing that he does. But I thought there was nothing wrong with his performance today, and that's me who's not been that happy with him recently. I think he was all right personally.
Yeah, this is the thing, Kris. I thought Guendouzi was fine, but I don't think he offers you enough going forward. I don't think he offers you enough going backwards, and he can't control games yet. He's not that player yet. What do you expect Arteta to concentrate on with him to help, bring him, help develop his skill set, so to speak?
No, I think that's the key thing. Arteta's been in place for less than a month, and I don't really know what people expect. I think I think Unai Emery deserves a lot of credit for giving Guendouzi the game time that he did, particularly when he first came into the club, because that was a huge call and it was a huge show of faith in such a young talent. But on the same hand, I think he also relied on him too much and put a lot of pressure on the lad. We're very strange, our fan base. As we all know, we are a bit of a strange fan base, but we heap over praise on players, and then we spend our entire time breaking them down when they have a bad performance. Joe Willock, see for that. Guendouzi is one of the most talented young players in Europe. It's a fact. If you don't see that, I'm not sure you really understand football. What he also is, though, is he's sorry, I'm just going to be brutal.
Sorry, I don't see it at all.
No, but what I do see in him is a raw talent, and he's one of those players that he needs to be developed, he needs to be nurtured, and he needs to be put in and taken out at certain times. His energy, his work rate, and his desire are givens. They should be givens. The area of his game that needs work is the technical side, and it does need work, 100%. And like Femi says, he needs to sort of hone that aggressive need to win every tackle. That said, you don't want to take that side of him out of the player, because it's the old Ian Wright thing. If you take away the aggression, then you take away that side of the player. But he needs to hone it, he needs to craft it. And I think that when potentially Granit Xhaka moves on, that place will be his in the long term. But this is why I'm quite keen on us going into the market in January, for somebody like a Rabiot type of player, because there's that little bit more experience, a little bit more physicality, but sort of gets the game without as much pressure at the level he's at. So I just think he needs time to develop. People have to remember he came out of the French second division. He's been with us for 18 months. He's a 20-year-old kid. It's gonna take time, but in time, and I think under the right coaching, which again, not to have a go at Emery, but I'm not sure the coaching was always the best with him. I think it was a case of, you embody my spirit, you embody my energy, get out there and do it. It's not always as simple as that. Players need coaching. Xhaka's line about needing to be coached every single step of the pitch. That's what players need nowadays.
Hey, there's the Bill Belichick quote, okay? Not even great players can overcome poor coaching.
Yeah, exactly. He's technically good enough, though. I genuinely think he is.
I look at him and I think, we need to mould him, give him a bit of discipline,
Yeah.
It's the thing, like, remember when everybody was going nuts over Jack Wilshere? Yeah. I can't remember who said it. Great, you've got a nippy, a small, very talented, two-footed midfielder who loves to play football. Fantastic. Spain, we got fucking hundreds of them.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? They got hundreds of them. And as much I think Guendouzi's got the talent, and I like his attitude so much. Do you know what I mean? His attitude, I love. Okay, but it's one of those where I'm struggling to see how we develop him at the moment, and that's the big thing for me. Right,
I'd like to have this conversation after 12 months under Arteta, and more importantly, a whole summer under Arteta. I'd love to. I think this club is gonna. I'm gonna make a big statement here. Regardless of how this season goes, even if we finish 14th and bow out of the Europa League in the next round, I think this club potentially. If Arteta gets the backing of the board, which I think is a really important thing to note at this stage, because you can have the best manager in the world if you're run by a bunch of people who don't really know what they're talking about, which has been a bit of an allegation, you can't do anything. But I genuinely think if he gets the backing, not just financially, but in his decision-making, his coaching, his appointment, everything else, this club could make a massive step forward over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. Not saying we're going to be title winners or any of that jazz, but I genuinely think we've got the right person in charge now for the right reasons at the right time, and over the summer month potentially into next season we could make a really big step forward. So hopefully, I'm not saying it will happen, but I hope so anyway.
If you look at the last transfer window, Martinelli long term, Saliba's long term.
Yeah.
Pepe,
and some of the young players in the academy that Arteta's working with, the Nelsons, the Willocks.
Yeah. But you look at Pepe so far. Pepe's been a failure to date. Okay, but we need to mould him. That we can easily turn that around into a massive success. Ceballos has been an absolute disaster. Who else was there? Who else came in?
I don't think he's been a disaster. I just don't.
One good game.
He's been injured for 2.5.
One good game is fucking nonsense.
No, I agree with that, but I think
shit.
I think having an injury for 2 months has curtailed that. It's not been Dennis Suarez levels.
No, right. But when you play he's played 1.5 decent games of football for us, Burnley and Spurs.
But he showed in those games that there's something there. But as I say, if you look up on Twitter Arteta's comments about Ceballos, it doesn't suggest to me that he fancies him. To be honest
with you, he's a loan for 1 season.
Oh yeah, you lose nothing.
It's a waste of fucking money.
Yeah, but at least Chase, at least he's on loan. So if we do choose to go in a different direction, we might lose. It sounds ridiculous to say this, but losing 5 million on a loan to Arsenal is fuck all. Losing 25 million on a permanent signing you can't sell on for anywhere near that value is a massive difference.
Let's be honest, Kieran. 72 million for Pepe at the moment is nuts. Okay, right? Signing Ceballos for anything over 30 is lunacy, right? But we'll have to wait and see. I'm really looking forward to the way Arteta's going to bring us forward. Femi, we're into questions. Sorry, pal. Me and Carp.
That's all right.
The shit out of it. Our apologies. Pete Coulson asks, tomorrow we have you have the power. Spurs win against Liverpool and retain our invincibility, or no?
No, I'm all right. To be honest, no thanks. I want us to finish as high as possible. To be honest with you, I know the Liverpool thing will worry a lot of people, but they've won nearly every game. I mean, at some point, I know we keep saying it, but at some point, their form will drop off. So let someone else beat them. Let them come to the Emirates. Let us beat them. Don't worry about Spurs. Let's try and get Mourinho panicked and into season 3 Mourinho at an early stage. That's my answer to that.
I don't give a monkeys. I don't. The ground opens up and swallows them both.
I've got a feeling they're going to beat them. I don't know why. It's just classic Mourinho shithousery, isn't it?
Yeah, but if they do, I don't care, and if they don't, I don't care. Do you know what I mean?
I don't. I care about the Invincibles. Because let's be honest, Jace. When Virgil van Dijk lifts that trophy in May.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment in bloody February, the way the rest of them are playing, when he lifts that trophy, the footballing world as we know it is going to implode. You will see Scousers everywhere. It is going to be like Invasion of the Mongs. I mean, honestly, you are not going to be able to move for those history-banging fuckwits. I mean, it's going to be painful.
Every second. To those of you who have never seen the scum win the league, the bin dippers win the league, okay? There's a scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where rats come out of the fucking sewers, okay? That's what it's going to be like.
They will be everywhere. You think it's bad now, chat? Honestly, they will be. And they will not... They could win this league this year and then not win it for another 124 years. They will still be singing about that one title. And to put an Invincibles tag with it, I want to puke. No, that needs to go. That needs to go quite quickly. It's getting to the Man City stage, isn't it? Of last year, we were going, yeah, but at least with City, we could have gone, yeah, but they got lots of money. Liverpool, pains me to say it, have sort of gone about it the right way. So,
I'd rather do plastics than that bunch of mongs.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, hopefully, I mean, as you say, it'd be nice if we took it off them. But I'd rather it doesn't come to that,
I won't put money on us.
No, but it'd be classic Mourinho to shithouse his way and take the record off him today and then brag about it for 10 years, wouldn't it? So, and let's be honest, I Spurs are irrelevant to me. I couldn't give a fuck unless they're first. I couldn't give a fuck if they're second, 10 points above us, 14 points above us, or in the Championship. They're nothing. They literally are nothing. So who cares?
Absolutely. J. Rob's donated. My apologies, J. Rob. I missed you earlier on. Thank you ever so much, pal. You're an absolute rock star. We love you. No, I'm not going to mention that. I don't care. Sorry. Back to you, Femi. I want to ask you this one again now because Gunnar Kirk says our players are far too weak this season. I don't remember losing so often, so many injuries as this season. I think we should bring Santi back in. He said he wants to come back.
I can go about the first part of the question. I mean, the second part of the questions are probably a no-go anyway. I think Santi's happy to be back in Spain. You know, that's where he's just, the weather probably suits, his age and his style of play now. On the first point, I think we've been a lot more durable to injuries. I know we've had, like, the last few games, we've had a player come off during the game due to injury, but looking at our sort of injury list, it's down to, two sort of long-term injuries, which is Callum Chambers and Kieran Tierney. And Bellerin, I personally think what they're doing is they're starting him all over again. I think they've sort of taken the decision to take him out of the firing line, give him a proper workout, get him properly fit, and then bring him back. So I don't personally think that he's injured. I think that they just saw, we've brought him back a little bit too fast. We need to reset and start again. But apart from that, we've got no one else sort of on the shelf. We've lost Torreira today. Hopefully it's not too bad of a injury. So I think in terms of comparing it to, some of the few years ago when we used to have just countless amount of players on the injury list. I mean, it's got a lot more better, I think, personally. I don't know what you guys think.
I agree with you. I think, you look at the start of the season, we had Hector on long-term injury, we had Holding on long-term injury. You can't account for today with Torreira. Tierney was on long-term injury when he signed. The Chambers injury was just unlucky. And I think getting rid of Darren Burgess has been a massive issue for us. If I'm very honest with you, I think Unai Emery ruined this team regard to fitness and the way he did things. I don't think he's done anything scientifically properly. I think the way he brought Holding back too early. He brought Hector back too early. I think you've seen consistency in the mismanagement of players. And after long-term injuries, there are going to be problems. You can't get away from it, okay? You just can't get away from it. It's a case of when in managing them back, you have to do that properly. You have to do it properly. You can't. Unai Emery has shown you how to fucking not manage a football team in every way, shape, and form.
Especially with Hector's history as well. He's had a few sort of what I would call not necessarily long-term injuries, but injuries that are his game is based on speed, movement, quickness. Hamstrings, ankles. They're all susceptible. If it was Xhaka in this position where you're saying he relies on just his physicality, you wouldn't be so worried. But when Bellerin came back, you could noticeably see that he was a step off, and that's natural. Talk to Dom about what the effect of that injury has, but it wasn't like he'd lost a step. It was like he'd lost two steps. And like Femi says, I think they're managing him, a lot more carefully now and a lot more sensibly, because you can ruin a player's career by forcing him back too soon. Yeah,
and it's so difficult. You look at it, okay, the scientific work that goes into bringing these players back now is so well developed. You've got to do it properly, and I think with Arteta, hopefully he'll have a better ped doc online to help.
The one Harry Kane uses. Mark my words, chat. Today is the 11th of January. Okay, the news came out last night that Harry Kane will be missing until mid-April. That twat will be back in that Spurs shirt by March. What I'm telling you now, guarantee it. He will be back in that shirt early March. Watch it happen.
Off his head. As for the Santi bit, look, Santi, there's a reason Santi left us. The poor bugger. He nearly lost his leg. He's in a walking league now, and he's doing very well. leave him there. He can't cope with it. He couldn't cope with the Premier League in 2016, to be honest with you.
He'd admit that himself anyway.
Yeah.
And God bless the guy that he's still got a career, you know? What a man.
I think it's a great testament to him that he's come back and put in the performances to get back into the Spanish team.
Yeah, and the international level. Yeah.
It's amazing what he's done.
And that league suits him perfectly because it is more possession based. I'm brilliant. I'm really happy for him. And let's stop looking backwards and start looking forwards. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I love Santi. Okay, I got plenty to say which people don't like about it, but to see him come back after all he's been through is joyous for us all, and we should all wish him the very best.
Yeah,
Kris, this one's especially for you. Ryan Cost, okay, when he donated, thank you, Ryan. Is it time to step away from Guendouzi? Seems to me he runs wildly on the pitch. Ceballos seems more of a disciplined option. I'm really interested as to what you're going to say here, because I know you like both players.
Yeah. Who was the second player? Sorry,
Ceballos.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, sorry to make it sound like a bit of a cop-out answer, but I genuinely don't know, because we started this season with so much promise, with so much hope and expectation, and since then we've changed managers twice. You know, I'm still getting to grips with actually enjoying watching the football club I love again. It's been a while. You know, it's been a while, and for all I came on these shows and in our groups, and I would always defend Emery because I don't like seeing people just go after a manager, because when you've managed a team of people at work, or, you know, if you've been in management, senior management, or you've managed a sports team, as I know you have, Jason, and obviously I have, you understand that it's never just about one person. It's a collective. Things go wrong, things happen, managers change things that don't work, and then they find it impossible to get that same group of players to go, oh, that's not working. I think that's the biggest failing that Unai Emery had, is he tried to change too much in too short space of time, and when the players didn't buy into it, he had nowhere to go. He just had to go backwards, and then it all unwound, and then the Ozil thing, and blah 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 blah. So I just think that in terms of this squad right now, where the injuries are, where we are currently, you know, we're in a transfer window. We're almost halfway through this transfer window, although it doesn't seem like anyone does anything until 31st of January. But we need to be keeping as many players as we can right now, because we need bodies, we need numbers, and Arteta needs to be looking at the players that he fancies. He doesn't strike me as the sort of character who will take too long to make his mind up about players. He'll see them in training and make his choices. You know, for all the question marks I have about the world suck off of Guardiola, he is the best coach in the world because his record backs that up. But what he, and indeed the new suck off world manager Jurgen Klopp, have in common is they're ruthless. They might be nice personalities on documentaries, and they might say the right things in the media, and they might take the praise where they deserve it, but they are ruthless. They will manage players in the right ways. They'll pick the right players for the right systems, and they will bin off the players that don't get on board with what they're looking to do. And I think Arteta has that side of his personality in his substitutions, in his lineups, and the way he speaks. And that first quote in that press conference, you know, players are not on board, will not be part of my plans. I think Guendouzi is part of his plans. I think he's put a lot of faith in bringing him off the bench when he could easily have gone with other options. He could easily have brought Luiz into midfield and played another defender. You know, he could have gone to Willock. He could have played one sitting midfielder and played three strikers. I do think Guendouzi will, as I said earlier, I think he will come good. Ceballos, I want it to come good because I saw a technically really good player at Real Madrid, and I still think that player's there. But again, time will tell, and with the loan, we have protected ourselves. I just think it's really, really early to be judging any players at this stage, and we could legitimately get to the end of the season, and the squad you see now could have 5 or 6 of those players gone again, and you could have 4 or 5 in, and that's. I think too many people are looking at the end result of Arteta's methods rather than looking at the here and now, and focusing on the good things Arteta's doing. You know, he's turning Ainsley Maitland-Niles into a competent right back. He's turning Xhaka into a player that the fans are willing to stomach again. He's turned Lucas Torreira back into the player we knew Lucas Torreira was, not just positionally, but his overall game. He's coaching the defense into a defense again. It's going to take time.
To be fair, you've seen an instant improvement in performances from players who were way out of form under Unai. Okay, the one thing I'll say is I think they're going to be. You can't deny Dani Ceballos' talent. You can't deny it. It's there for all to see. You can't deny that Macho Guendouzi's a talent. I think there's going to be some comings and goings which are very unexpected. I'm not sure what's going to happen in January. I don't think much is going to happen in January. But I think the summer, I think some of us are going to be hurt and surprised and just, I think some unexpected players are going to leave. And I think we're going to have some unexpected incomings as well. But as long as the ones that Mickey Arteta wants, then happy days.
Just one other really quick thing, and I mean quick, I don't want to carpenter it, but I have definitely noticed a change in our system out of possession. There's a notable change, and I know everyone's saying, "Oh, it's the pressing." It's not the pressing. It's the focused mindset of what to do and when. It's knowing when you're a central midfielder. You go back and watch the tapes of the Man United game and today's game. I noticed it again. Watch that midfield. They only go when the right time to go is. They only drop back when the right time is. They only play passes at key times when there are runners in positions. Before, we would just try and force it, or we just sit deep and try and keep the ball. There's been a noticeable change in how the system is technically set up, which is really good, really impressive.
The setup and positioning has been impeccable.
And awareness, running around, following runners,
Well, we switched off with the
It's not flawless.
But, no, yeah.
It's still working on it, but
Femster, this one's for you. I don't know where it's from, so apologies. What would your front three be against Sheffield United? I do remember who this is from. Is it David Keith? David, wherever this is from, apologies. We haven't got your name. What would your front three be against Sheffield United as Auba and Laka will be suspended? And as I'm going to the Emirates next week, I would claim a refund as I'm flying from Lanzarote.
Yeah, I did see this question. Yeah. What I would say is Laka is not suspended. The 5-game amnesty resets after the halfway point of season, so Laka is not suspended. We have to get that one up first of all. With that being said, I think you just have to stick Martinelli in at the moment in place of Aubameyang. Really, I think that's the only change we can make.
Yeah.
I can't see anything, different because we will need a senior striker. I know Martinelli's played up front on the Emery, but he seems to have, dropped to his preferred left-sided position now. I think we will need Lacazette, we need Pepe, Ozil at home will open things up. So I think we'll pretty much go with that. And then you look, is Pereira going to be fit? Probably not. So we probably will have to go with the same midfield that we went with today. So I don't see many changes, to be honest. And I think less changes we make, the better. I think, like Kris was saying, the structure of the team is what's important at the moment. Chopping and changing players at the moment, I think Arteta seems to be against it. I can't see any proof that chopping and changing works anyway. So we can keep a pretty much settled team for now and just build from there. Really, the main thing is to get confidence for the Europa League. I'll be honest with you.
I think continuity will bear fruits. A bit of continuity. So when you're changing players, one or two here or there is fine.
Yeah.
On occasion, but you need that spine. You need Plan A worked on well. You need to be able to fall back on good practices. It's that old thing, I'm so lucky because I practice so much. I can't remember the exact quotes, but do you know what I mean? It's making sure you're drilled to perfection.
As for his refund, don't worry about your refund. Emirates has been really good recently. The last couple of games, the atmosphere has been bouncing. There's a lot more positivity, a lot more songs. You'll have fun. Make sure you bring a lot of money for for food.
yeah, and beer. I'll answer the next one. Pete,
just on that. just on that, Jace, as well. We're planning an ABW game, aren't we? At some point this season, we are planning to try and get our diaries together to meet up. So don't worry, we're not going to be selling merchandise, nor will we be signing babies. But when we have a game in mind, obviously,
20 quid a selfie. 20 quid a selfie.
So they'll pay us to not have us in pictures.
That's what I mean. Oh, yeah. Unless we take Dom. Dom's pretty.
We can't say too much at this stage, but somebody from our group is planning something quite special. So we're hoping to align our diaries at some point. So if we do, and we are coming to a game or whatnot, then obviously it'd be lovely to meet some of you nice people. So there you go.
And Sam, it'll be lovely not to meet you as well.
Oh, yeah, some of you.
Yeah. The funniest thing was when we were up, we did the stadium tour with Dom, okay? And we were doing the stadium tour, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's from Ireland.
Oh, and, yes.
And he said, "You're Kris from ABW."
The poor bastard.
Oh, it was hilarious.
He was hoping for like David O'Leary, and he got me. Sorry.
That's brilliant. On to the next question. Right, Pete Coulson asked my question. Martinelli is due to join the Brazil under-23 squad for tournament, despite Lacazette being suspended. I think Auba being suspended 3 games. Should we absolutely stop him, or should bear shit in the woods? I don't know if we can stop him or not.
No, I don't think you can stop him.
Well, no, I think they asked Arteta about this yesterday in a press conference.
Yeah.
This isn't an official international tournament, so we have not released him. It's not a FIFA sanctioned tournament. It's a practice tournament for the Olympic squad, and he hasn't been picked from all the squads that I've seen. And they're already training as well, so I don't think Arsenal have sanctioned it.
So we might not even have to worry about it then, in theory.
Yeah, I don't think we have to. I mean, if we were, it would have happened by now because they've already met up for the tournament. And he would have missed 5 games. So I don't think Arsenal sanctioned it, which is a smart move on our part, to be honest.
Yeah. Rudy Rastos mentions Xhaka wearing the captain's armband after Alba went off. I think that's great, to be honest, though. I think the rehabilitation is on. I think people need to move on from that. And,
I want that changed in the summer, though. Really
to be honest, though, what we want and what's going to happen are 2 different things.
Just from a selfish point of view, I want a proper captain next season. One captain going in knowing who it is,
But to be honest, I want a couple of proper midfielders because
that too. I mean, I want all the things.
Yeah, I want all the toys. all the toys, bro. Yeah. David Keith, who am I asking this to? Kris, I'm asking this to Lacazette to play number 10, Auba up front, as I believe Auba on the right is wasted. What do you think?
No. This myth about Lacazette being able to play wide or in the 10, no. Yes, he can do it because he's a very competent technical footballer, but he's wasted. He's a goal scorer. He's an attacker through the middle. He can play wide, but the only time you can play him wide is if it's a very narrow 4-2-3-1. So the 3 behind the 1 are very close together. You don't get the best out of him. Simple as that. Unless you've got a lightning speed striker, which Aubameyang's quick. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't make the sort of runs that Lacazette would need to play in that role. Again, I'm not Mesut bashing. Genuinely, I'm not. But I don't think this club will go forward in an attacking standpoint until we stop relying on the use of the number 10. Lacazette, you'll get the best out of Lacazette if you've got 3 pacey technical players behind him. Until we've got that, or until we change our system to accommodate that into the Mesut style of play, I don't think you'll get it. So no, for me, it's a no on that one, I'm afraid.
Okay, I'm on to the next one. We're going to run through these very quickly now because we've been going far too long. Don One asks, is Guendouzi and Willock ready for first-team football, or do we need to bring in senior players to back up Xhaka and Torreira? I think both Guendouzi and Willock, they need to be managed properly. I think there's been, with no sort of style of play under Unai, and under Freddie, to be honest with you. These players have suffered. There's a question from KLBC who said, why wasn't Laka subbed off Nelson 15 minutes sooner? Well, Nelson's not done a lot to earn a place, to be honest.
And experience as well.
Yeah,
And I think Laka, if you look at the chance that Laka created for Pepe, that's why he's kept on as well.
Yeah,
exactly. Make it happen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think a lot with these young kids, they're still young. Not everybody is a Ashley Cole. Not everybody's a Patrick Vieira. We have to manage them properly. And I think let's see what Mickey Arteta does. Question for all of us. Don one asked about Michael Hahnemann and Pete Coulson. They've all asked about transfers. But do you think, Femi, you first, then Kris, then I'll ask and so on. Do you think we're going to sign anyone in January?
Yes, I think we'll get a midfielder and a defender, because I've seen one thing that Kris said about ruthlessness. There's one name that has just disappeared from all traces of the earth at the moment since he's one mistake, Mustafi. So if we've been Mustafi, which it seems that we have, we will be getting a centre back in, and I think you can see that we need a central midfielder in as well.
Kris?
Yeah, 100% agree with Femi. I've been constantly poking at people for information, and nobody's giving me nothing. But the few people I do speak to seem confident that we're actively in the market. Be interesting to see what happens with Nketiah, because we saw John Jules and Emil Smith-Rowe go out on loan, didn't we, yesterday?
Yeah.
And I actually think Emil Smith-Rowe is also a victim of what Femi just said, the ruthlessness. Not that he's not got the talent, but I think Arteta saw him in the couple of games Freddie played him and went, not ready yet, needs to get football. And interesting that he's gone to Lincoln. No, John Jules went to Lincoln, Huddersfield, isn't it? In the Championship, which I think is exactly where he needs to be, rough and tumble, getting him fixed up. So yeah, I think two, maybe as many as three. Certainly one loan. Yeah, I and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about high profile. One might be a player from Bundesliga or somewhere like that isn't high profile. And I'd like to see us get two experienced players in. Somebody in midfield, again, I've mentioned Rabiot, but somebody at least mid-20s or late 20s. I'd like to see defensive cover that's experienced, even on loan. And I'm talking not Gary Cahill, but someone of, Premier League ready, somebody of that experience. I don't mean Cahill, I'm just using him as an example, but somebody who's been there and done it. And then, forward line, I'm not that fussed. I think we're all right there, but two in midfield and one at the back would be nice. Maybe a left back, depending on what happens with Kolasinac's fitness. If he's all right, maybe we can get through that. But yeah, I think we'll be active.
But then the only just to ask a question, sorry, and I think a couple of people have asked this in some of the questions about Eddie. What do we now do with this Nketiah situation? Because I'm looking at it as we've lost one striker today, and all of a sudden we look sort of threadbare in sort of natural strikers. If something was to happen to Laka, long term, God forbid, touch wood, we're pretty much screwed, aren't we? In terms of a natural striker.
And we're going to have to play Laka those 3 games regardless, so he's going to have to play a lot of football.
And we've got Europa League coming back, which is going to add a lot of football to our end of season if we progress. That's something we might have to think about.
I think Eddie only goes back out on loan. I think originally the plan was he goes on loan. With what's happened today, I think he only goes out on loan now if we've actively got somebody lined up that we are going to bring in. Simple as that.
But then he can't. But then he can't play in January, because if he plays for us, he can't go back on loan because he can only play for 2 teams in a season.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the big thing is, look, if you look at it, okay, what does Eddie win a place? He wins a place on the bench simply as a number, right? You've still got Reece Nelson, okay, who you could play him up top. I'm not sure how you're gonna manage that.
Pepe.
Eddie's game, he's a fox in the box. He's not going to add anything, as a creator, as somebody bringing other players into the game. That's one of the things that Bielsa spoke about or has alluded to. I think Arteta's just going to make a decision. At the moment, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Martinelli, that's the order. Somebody's going to have to do something pretty spectacular to kind of break that. I don't think Eddie's got that in him, so I think game time is more important than actually just having a number for the bench. You can use Nelson, Pepe, Saka. There are players there.
The sort of striker we need as well is not. I mean, right now, we could do with a Olivier Giroud type striker. We could do with somebody who's different to what we've got. Eddie is very much what we've got. Yeah. He's like Lacazette, and that's not a knock at him, but he's another poacher. I think if we're going to potentially tap the market, whether it be now or in the summer, I think we need to go with a plan B. We need a striker who, with 20 minutes to go, we can chuck on up front, who's, again, Olivier Giroud got a lot of stick in his time, largely unmerited, who's technically good, maybe not the quickest, but can get on the end of headers, can get on the end of flowing moves, can hold up the ball, because that's one thing we really lack. We could do with a plan B. So if you've got really what you need to do right now is just go through the European leagues, have a look at some of the top 10 teams, and see who's not getting game time, and which is exactly what Spurs are having to do with Kane. They're in a similar situation, but you need something a bit different, and Eddie's very similar to what we've got already.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the thing. I mean, if you're going to bring players in January, okay, I think the loan market is obviously, the way forward, okay. I think, you've got to be looking at midfield first and foremost, because whether it be Ceballos, whether it be Guendouzi, whether it be Willock, I don't think they had enough mental toughness, mental hardness, experience, and I think you need a bit more athleticism, a bit more size in there. You see with Torreira, as good as his performances have been, and I've been quite harsh on Torreira, but physicality-wise, he falls off. He's nowhere near what you need. So, you have to kind of look at this, and Mikel Arteta will have in mind what he wants to bring in. Now, whether that means Mustafi leaving and other players leaving or whatever, as long as it's the players coming in that Arteta wants, great. I'd love to see a centre-back come in as cover. I think Chambers dropping out has been a massive hit for us. Mavropanos, I'm beginning to worry about Mavropanos because I don't see what he brings to us at the moment. He's not going to get a chance unless he goes out on loan. Holding's coming back. You have to hope he doesn't break down with injury again. So there's so many questions to be answered here. Fingers crossed now that that Raul and Edu are working for and with Arteta to bring his dream to fruition. But we're going to have to wait and see. Big quick shout out, Kyan Jackson, Jamaican Gunners are always here. I love it. Quick one to Adam. The Preston Invincibles. It was 1889 or whatever. For fuck's sakes. 130 years ago, it was hardly a proper sport then. Don't call that Invincibles. It's just not a proper sport. Behave yourself, okay? Crying out loud. That's it for today, guys. My thanks to the chat box. You've been superb. Massive thanks to Michael Harneman, Ryan Cost, and J Rob. As usual, guys, you're magnificent. And thank you for your donations. Huge thanks to the chat box. It's been really interesting. It's been a bit spiky in there at times. It's been a difficult day for us. We should have won that game. Don't think we really deserved to, but we had enough dominance to do it, and we didn't take it over the line. It's a shame. My thanks to Femi on your debut. You popped your cherry, son.
Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Brilliant to have you on board, mate. I really, really am. Glad you're on the live show now. My thanks to Carpenter, Kris. I think me and you Carpenter the shit out of that for a bit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's because I don't come on as often now. I got so much to say, but no, it's.
We did, to be fair. We did. I got to be honest. We. I'm not going to give you all the blame on that, pal.
No, it's good fun, and believe in the process, people. It takes time,
I think it's still exciting times. It's still exciting times.
I'm beaten in 5, Jace. Who'd have thought?
God save Mickey Arteta.
Yeah.
On a last note, to those of you listening on any other the platforms, whether it be Acast, iTunes, whatever, if you want to join the chat box, subscribe to the YouTube channel, click on the bell icon, and you will be notified whenever we go live. If you'd like to give us some 5-star iTunes ratings, that'd be lovely. Thanks. We just want 5-star ones. That's all we want. None of the other petty ones, thank you. That'd be nice. To those guys who did walk and talk today, you are magnificent. Thank you ever so much. You keep on doing both clubs proud. To Paul Price of Crystal Palace and their mob, and to Jake Core and the boys from the Arsenal mob. Well done, lads. You are magnificent. You great work, and we're ever so proud of you. Thank you. And once again, it's Dave Faber's birthday today. To the one and only Goonaholic. You know, there's only one Goonaholic, right? We miss you, mate. We love you. Thank you ever so much. Take care. Good night. Keep it Arsenal, people. That's it. Well,
I just got one really quick one I want to shout out because this is the only platform I can do it on. Pricked Pal Purawal sent me a quite generous donation on PayPal towards the Pirates. So I just wanted to say thank you to Prick Pal if he's listening, he or she. I presume it's a he. But yeah, thank you very much. I got that 9 days ago, but I haven't found you on Twitter or anything. I don't know how to get in touch with you. So thank you ever so much. I appreciate it.
Well done. Okay, brilliant. That's it, guys. Take care. Keep it Arsenal. We look forward to seeing you next weekend. All the best.